News, weather, sports, SHKE, Channel 96, Pole, Illinois. Where's my phone? That's right, America's #1 game show is here. Where's My Phone? Weeknights, 10:30, only on SHKE, Channel 96. Making garage doors and hanging out will not be seen tonight so that we can bring you the following special program.
Oh, hi, I'm Shaky, and this is the Halloween 78 and Other Memories Halloween special from the Shaky Subjectmatter podcast. Now, this is about Halloween in the 70s and the stuff that I used to do when I was younger, and not about the John Carpenter, Michael Myers horror film. We're going to be talking a little bit about that at the end when I talk about some Halloween specials. I'm also going to be talking about how Halloween has changed. We went from putting paper decorations in the window and a candle and a jack-o'-lantern to having animatronic effects pulling their heads off and dead bodies laying in people's lawns. Another thing, this paranormal thing that's been going on Halloween. People are getting scared of paranormal. There's so many paranormal shows out there. They're all over the place. Heck, they even filmed one here in Pole, Illinois. Let's take a look at that one. Ride, I have a card for you. Hey, send the card. Wish that guy wouldn't have left me on the side of the road. What? Oh, hi, I'm Shaky, and this is Shaky Natural, a paranormal investigation program where we try to find proof of the supernatural in regular everyday places. I'm here today in the Swamp Angel National Forest here in Pole, Illinois, where we have found proof of supernatural activity. We've caught a ghost on tape. So come with me and I'll show you. Okay, we're venturing pretty far out here into the Swamp Angel National Forest. A lot of talk of cult activity and other things. Not really sure about what it... Did you hear that? I heard it. Here. I don't know. Is this it? Yeah, a lot of talk of cult activity through the years out here. A lot of strange things being found, melted candles and symbols carved into the trees. I don't see any of that out here, but you hear that? Some more. There it is. Some more. Oh, look. Oh my gosh. Oh, there it is. A ghost caught on tape. Ah! How about that? Shaky Natural. We'll be right back after this.
Your Saturday mornings are going to be out of this world with SHKE Saturday Morning Action. First, watch a group of robots that can't get it together with Voltron. This week, the moon colony is in danger and Space Train is their only chance of survival. Then it's the adventures of the Space Navy in robot tech. And finally, an alfalfa farmer exposed to radiation becomes the heap. SHKE Saturday Morning Action is on Saturdays 9 to 11 a.m. on SHKE Channel 96.
Greetings, I'm Professor Jitters, and I'd love for you to join me at Professor Jitters' Halloween Bacchanal.
That's right, the hottest Halloween party in Ogle County returns. Professor Jitter's Halloween Bacchanal at Congress Haunted School this Saturday night starting at 7. There'll be food, fun, fire spinners, fire dancers, fire eaters, a live performance from the all-female King Diamond tribute band, Queen Diamond. Come get scared at Polo's largest haunted attraction. Are you brave enough to walk the second floor with just a flashlight? And don't forget the costume contest at midnight. Congress Haunted School is open weekends 6 to 12 all October and located at 211 North Congress, Polo, Illinois. Anyone 18 must be accompanied by an adult. You can get discount tickets at Arnie's Cross Training and Pumpkin Farm, Rogers Diner, and The Shell. Be there.
Hi, welcome back to my Halloween 78 and Other Memories special. I'm going to be talking about a few things that I really liked about Halloween back in the 70s that kind of went away, but seem to be coming back. But one of the first things I'd like to talk about is something that happened a little bit before Halloween. It was in mid-September when my mom and I took a walk up to Woolworth's. Now, some of you younger people might not know what a Woolworth's is. Well, Woolworth's was what was considered a dime store, or more or less the Dollar General of the 70s. And what they had there was little novelty records, amongst other things. We're going to be talking about Woolworth's some more a little bit later on. But they had little novelty records from companies like the Monster Mash, you know, the Crypt Keeper 5 singing this song, and then this horror sound effects album called Sounds to Make You Shiver. That is an iconic memory of the 70s around Halloween for a lot of people. And, you know, other companies such as Disney and stuff put out these sound effects records around Halloween. But this one holds a special place in my heart due to this cover. So let's take a closer look at Sounds to Make You Shiver.
So, you want to visit a haunted house, I think I have one that should suit you. That is, if you dare follow me. You will? Fine. Shall we go, then? Here we are at the door. Happy haunting.
It was late September 1978 when Mom took us on a trip to the Woolworth's department store. What I didn't know was that on that day, I would run into one of the most iconic Halloween memories for a lot of people, including myself. That's when I first saw the album Sounds to Make You Shiver. Sounds to Make You Shiver is a novelty Halloween sound effect album that was put out by Pickwick Records in 1974, and then the cover changed a few times, but this cover is iconic, and we'll get into that in a second. This album is shrouded in mystery, from the recording location, artists who performed on it, to the cover. Let's take a closer look. This cover is fantastic. It has everything going on the album in one shot. No one knows who the artist is for this album cover. I've looked, there's a small signature that says David on the coffin, but I can't find out anything. I've searched for a while, and all I could find was that a rumor says it was a comic illustrator named Jack Davis who worked for Mad Magazine, and other comic books, as well as album covers, but I really don't think this was him because the art is totally different. This album is a giant monster rally on the cover. It has everything you could imagine, from a giant Yeti-like creature, a witch making her brew, Frankenstein stomping around, a Sagoth up in the window trying to break out, a lunatic madman. You got Count Dracula up on the top with his cape flowing in the wind, a clock tower with Quasimodo hanging out underneath, and you got the werewolf with blood coming off of his mouth. And then if you look in the corner, way in the corner, you see a little hangman's noose and a guy carrying an axe with blood on it. But then if you really look at it, up where the bats are, the cloud looks like a skeletal hand. The record itself had a skull on both sides, which adds to the fun. Watch a spinning skull while you play the album. But then the backside has a little kind of goofy looking ghost with the tracks in, and a little description of the haunted album. Also, if you look into the eye of the skull just right, you can see another eye looking back at you. And I can tell you why this is probably one of the most fun Halloween memories. I had my cousins over, and me and my older cousin got my other cousin in the room, shut off the lights, and started playing this full blast, and he freaked out and started screaming. And my dad came running in the room to see what the hell was going on and told me to shut the album off. So that's my look at sounds to make you shiver and my Halloween memory. I hope you enjoy it. Alright, the history of sounds to make you shiver. Cover artist still unknown. Now, another thing that I remember from the 70s during the Halloween season is going to my first haunted house. It was around the corner from where we lived in Chicago, in an apartment building down in the basement. And we walked through, and it was just a bunch of kids in cardboard boxes jumping out. I remember vividly some kid in a werewolf mask jumping out of the top of a cardboard box and rah at me. And you know what? I really enjoyed that. And started me going to haunted houses as often as I could when I was younger. The Alvernia Haunted House, when I got a little bit older out in Chicago, was kind of a every weekend thing during October that I'd walk to and just go through. And then as I got a little bit older, we moved to the suburbs, and you know, there was Amlings and some other places. And now pretty much every town in the USA has a haunted attraction during Halloween season. So I'm not going to delve too much into looking at a haunted house or anything. But I did go to southern, eastern Illinois this summer to check out a couple of witch graves. So why don't you come along with me on the road? Today we're going on a trip to look at two witch graves. The first of which is located in Ashmore, Illinois. Ashmore is 3 hours from Chicago, 3 hours from St. Louis, and 3 hours from Indianapolis. Also 4 hours from Kentucky and Tennessee. So it's kind of a day trip if you're crazy like me. Anyway, Ashmore is a very rural community. One gas station in the town, one restaurant. They were both closed when I was down there. It was pretty isolated area. On the outskirts of Ashmore is a cemetery known as St. Omer Cemetery, where legend has it the witch was buried. St. Omer Cemetery is located about 2 miles outside of Ashmore. It's a very small rural cemetery. As you can see while we drive down the road, it's long, and it does have an eerie, foreboding feeling as you're driving down this long country road. I was actually surprised how long the gravel road actually was on the way up to it. I'm in Ashmore, Illinois, at St. Omer Cemetery. We're going to look at So the tale of the Ashmore Witch is that Carolyn Barnes was hung for witchcraft. What witchcraft? Nobody knows. Why? Nobody knows. What happened? Nobody knows. So I went around and looked at this tombstone and saw that it had logs, a honeycomb, and a sphere on the top. Now the legend is that's her crystal ball on the top, and that they put February 31st as a death date so that she could never rise from the grave. Now the February 31st was probably a misprint, and from what I understand the family had all perished, so there was nobody to change that, so it was left. But the logs are a symbol of death, the honeycomb is a symbol of life, and the sphere is about the circle of life. That's what I found out in my research. It's also said that there's people out there having weird rituals, and there's candle wax, and you're not supposed to be able to photograph the sphere, and it glows on moonlit nights. So I took a video, and we'll see if anything happens while I'm standing around or when I leave. We'll see. Here it is, witch grave. That'll be some coins from the ferry. Alright, the second part of our witch grave adventure takes place in Chesterville, Illinois. Chesterville is a rural community habitated by Amish folk. There's not really a lot going on, but the story is that there was an Amish girl 100 years ago that revolted against the community and was accused of being a witch. She disappeared and was later found in a field. So the elders of the community decided to take her to the cemetery and bury her in an unmarked grave, and then place a tree upon her to keep her soul from rising up and committing acts of revenge upon the community. So at least that's what the legend is, and the legend also says that people see the witch's ghost on the side of the road, kind of like Resurrection Mary. So let's take a look at the witch tree. It's really quite a beautiful cemetery with the river flowing behind it. And so is there a witch buried here in Chesterville, Illinois under this tree? Is the wrought iron fence there to keep her from coming back up? But if you look at the sides of the tree, it looks as though somebody had tried to do something to cut it down, but it didn't work, and it's still there. I guess it's up to you to decide whether or not there's a witch here. Come down and take a look for yourself. Okay, that was the two witch graves within 15 miles of each other down in the southeastern part of Illinois. And we'll be right back after these messages.
Screaming Skulls Torture Chamber Theater. This Saturday night, Screaming Skull Torture Chamber Theater presents a long-lost Halloween classic, filmed on location in Frankenstein, Missouri. Frankenstein goes Frankenstein. You better watch, or I'm coming after you.
Dr. Destruction's old-fashioned egg salad, bred from special chickens in Summers, Wisconsin. Do yourself a favor and try Dr. Destruction's old-fashioned egg salad. Our chickens are some of the best. You won't find them anywhere else. Dr. Destruction's old-fashioned egg salad. Try some today.
All right, welcome back to Halloween 78 and Other Memories. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the decorations I used to see in the windows when I was younger. they really aren't that prevalent anymore, but man, they sure were a lot of fun. I mean, you go by and people would have these kinds of things in their windows. Here's the cat. Here's the Kilroy Witch. I believe these are from the late 60s or early 70s. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert on this stuff. I just know what I like to see. Here's the ghost with the castle, and if you look down here, I'll try to zoom in. There's a guy with an axe coming out of the castle, chasing after you. And of course, the smiling pumpkin head scarecrow. Now, a few of these are very iconic images that if you look through old TV shows in the 70s and 60s, up into even today, you see them popping up. And one of them is this scratch cat. Okay, I remember when Mom got these and she put them up in the apartment windows in Chicago. And this one really kind of scared me because I was only like 2 years old, but I was like, why does he look so mean? But now I love him. I'd adopt him if I found him out on the street, right? And this skeleton. Now this is a small one. This is a vintage small skeleton. And this one's iconic too. You'll see it all over the place. We had a full-sized one. And we put it up every year. And through moves and stuff, I've lost them. And I've picked these up at different markets, flea markets and stuff. Now there's two very special Halloween decorations that I remember clear in my head. One of them was a 2-foot tall green skull with orange eyes glowing. Neon green skull, neon orange eyes. And around the eyes they had black flocking, and around the teeth they put flocking is felt glued to the cardboard, so it added some dimension to the decoration. And I can't really seem to find one of those. And the second one was a witch standing by her haunted house. So I couldn't find these anywhere, so I had a friend make them for me on wood, and they are outside the house right now. I'll put up a picture so you can see what they look like. Man, they're the focal point of the house to me anyway, besides my vintage blow molds. So that's my little look at Halloween decorations from the 70s. We'll be right back.
Come along for the ride and see where you end up when Dave comes around your area. This week, Dave takes a look at an abandoned pumpkin farm. Around Your Area is on Sundays at 3 on SHKE, Channel 96. Disco Sucks, the history of Disco Draculas in the 70s. Tuesdays at 10.
Alright. Now you remember a little bit earlier when I said that I was going to talk about Woolworths? Well, here it is. Woolworths would always get the best Halloween stuff in the area, out in the city. I'm pretty sure it was like that all across America. I don't know if they had a licensing deal with Ben Cooper, who we're going to be talking about in a second, or what, but they just always seemed to have the best stuff. They always had stuff like these jigglers, little rubber men that you'd hang up on your mirror, your closet, wherever, I guess, wherever you could hang something. You'd hang the little jigglers up, and they made several different kinds, like Spider-Man here, or Batman, like this Batman here. And then when Halloween came around, they made some like Dracula. And of course they made bats that fly. This one's a little bit newer, but you get the idea. They made big spiders, stuff, creatures that you could scare people with. And that was a fun part about Halloween. Now there's still people out there that make jigglers or jiggler-like figures. This one's made of resin. I had an artist friend of mine paint it. It's Barlow from Salem's Lot. And man, this thing looks great if you're into that lowbrow jiggler art. And then this one I had custom made from a resin cast of Christopher Lee. I just thought it would look cool because it looks like one of the costumes I'm going to be talking about here in a second. Okay, like I said, Woolworths had the Ben Cooper costumes. And these costumes would come in boxes like this. This one's empty. It's a little old and beat up, but the artwork on there is just a little taste of what you're going to see here in a second, what I was talking about. So they come in a box. You go to the store, and sometimes there was a picture on the side of the box. This one that I have that's actually all together in the box doesn't have the picture on the side. But in the ads, you'd see what the costumes look like. And everybody would go in and pick out their favorite costume. And you'd take it home, and you'd open up the box. And there'd be a mask. Like this. This one's a little small. I can't really fit it on my head, but it had this little rubber band, which has since deteriorated, that would hold it on, and everybody would get their tongue stuck in this little slit right here, because it's only human nature to want to stick that there. So, anyway, well, we come with that, and then in the box, it would come with the costume. Like this skull. Right? Look at that artwork. I love it. I love that artwork. So, through the years, I picked up a few different Ben Cooper costumes, which I'll get to in a second, after I set this aside. Now, one of my favorites is Dracula. So, I couldn't find complete costumes. So what I did was, I get them really inexpensive, and I cut them up. I know that's going to scare a lot of people, but I cut them up, and I put them in these frames, and I hang them up around the house. During Halloween, not every day. So, there's that Dracula. And then here's another Dracula looking more like Christopher Lee. So, that's a pretty cool looking Dracula if you ask me. And I'm sure none of you did, but I was just letting you know about that. And I'd like to tell you some of my favorite costumes from when I was younger, because there's a point to this and I'm just going to get to it. But, number 4 was Steve Austin, the Bionic Man. Number 3 was Superman. Number 2 was Spider-Man. And number 1 was Batman. Now this Batman costume is so iconic that this year they brought it back. And this is what I'm going to do for Halloween this year. I'm going to be Batman again. Just like I was the 3 or 4 times I could get the Batman costume when I was younger. I grew out of them a lot. So, that's my little look at the Ben Cooper Halloween stuff that you could get at Woolworth stores. And we'll be right back after this.
I am Madame Bacardi Smirnoff. I've studied the ancient magic of the Harrobians. I am here in America now to help you with any problems you may have with ghosts, demons, or other witches. I have the spells to help you. Call my hotline and tell me your problem. And if you don't have any problems like that and want to know what the tarot cards tell you, call me. I'll tell you. Just call. Madam Bacardi Smirnoff Psychic Hotline.
Are you tired of sitting around in your house looking at everybody stare at their cell phones? If so, come out to Arnie's Pumpkin and Cross Training Farm. We offer tractor tire yoga. You can get lost in our 2-mile corn maze. Then after that, get to the tractor and do some hay baling. Then we'll stop and get a hand-crushed apple cider. Then after that, we'll do the Country Ham Farmer's Walk. And don't forget to stop at Maria's gift shop. Look for the giant glowing pumpkin on US 52 outside Polo. And remember, we put the pump in pumpkin.
Welcome back to Halloween 78 and Other Memories. Now we're going to talk about some Halloween specials and movies that I fondly remember that are not on anymore. The first of which is the Fat Albert Halloween special. I don't know if you know this, but Fat Albert, his creator, kind of went away for a while. But Fat Albert was a character on a show called Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. And every week, it was more of an educational cartoon for older kids that they'd play around noon out in Chicagoland. And I enjoyed the show. But I really enjoyed the Halloween special they did, because it had one of the scariest scenes in a Halloween show I've ever seen, and it had the lighting, the dark atmosphere of an actual city at night in the cartoon. I'll show you a little example what it looked like here. Okay, now that was just a half-hour special that would be on once a year, but is since no longer on. But in 1978, there was something really big happening. You know, Kiss was taking over the planet with their music and look, and they even had Halloween costumes out that year. And I put on the Gene Simmons costume, but I didn't like the mask. I had to have makeup. So Mom tried to put some Gene Simmons makeup on my face. It did not turn out very well. I do not have any photos, but it did not look very good. So then I said, well, I want the hair. So we kind of figured out how to cut the mask so it would be my makeup with the hair, because it had hair on the mask. So I was walking around with a halo of hair from the mask and a horrible Kiss decade. Anyway, you don't want to hear about that. You want to hear about why I'm talking about Kiss. And that's Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park was on. A movie, a whole movie of Kiss. Now all I had at this time were 8-track tapes, because Dad had nothing to do with the Kiss band. So I had my little 8-track tapes, and I was so excited we went over to Grandma's house. And Mom and Dad went out, and Grandma went and watched TV in her other room, and left me in the living room to watch Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. It was very, very boring. I mean, sure, in the beginning you got Kiss, giant-sized Kiss walking through the amusement park like Godzilla, and then 35 minutes with no Kiss, but people talking about Kiss. That's all. Just people walking around an amusement park talking about Kiss with no Kiss in it. So then you finally see Kiss. They're sitting by a pool in robes. I mean, now you got to realize I'm like 9 years old, 7 years old looking at this, and just going, what the hell? This is boring. So then it got a little bit more action, and then for the last 20 minutes of the film, you actually see Kiss, and, well, I was kind of disappointed in that. The second movie I'm going to talk about premiered on Halloween night in 1978. It was called Devil Dog, The Hound from Hell. Mom and Dad were in the other room watching something else, so I walked into the living room and turned it on. They were letting me stay up because it was Halloween and I was all hyped up on the candy, I'm pretty sure. So this movie, Devil Dog, The Hound of Hell, is about a group of Satanists that perform a ritual that impregnates a German Shepherd with devil dogs. So, that's the beginning of the movie. Then, as the movie progresses, an old man is driving around in a station wagon giving away devil dogs all across the California roadsides, and he gives them to these two kids that are playing outside in the house, and then he hands it to them and they take off. So they're stuck with Devil Dog, the hound from hell, and they bring it inside the house, and mom's like, oh, it's so cute, and then dad comes home from work and says, I don't want the dog, but they're like, oh, you gotta let us have it, you gotta let us have it. So they guilt trip him into keeping this dog. It did not turn out very well for the family. Weird things start happening. The two kids, who are the stars of the Disney franchise, escape to Witch Mountain and return to Witch Mountain, play totally evil kids instead of nice good ones. And pretty soon things start happening, people start dying. I remember there's a scene with a mirror where he holds it up to the face and the kid's face looks like The Exorcist, because they were going for that kind of a theme with it. So he goes traveling out into the woods and learns how to fight the devil dog, and it, you know, it's a battle between good and evil at the end, and good wins. But then the wife says, isn't there 7 more puppies out there? And they fade to black. But you know what? It was pretty traumatizing for a 7 or 8 year old kid back then, and seeing the people you know from Witch Mountain being evil was a little different for me. But Kim Richards was in this movie, and at the same year, about a year before, she was in John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13. Okay? This is where we're going to talk about Halloween, 1978 John Carpenter film. So Kim Richards, this same year, starred with Donald Pleasance in Escape to Witch Mountain. And I'm sorry, that was 2 years before. 2 years before she starred in with Donald Pleasance in Escape to Witch Mountain. So 2 years later, they're filming Halloween 1978. And Kim Richards, who you may know as starring in Hello Larry and Tough Turf with James Spader and Robert Downey Jr., is 10 years older than Kyle Richards. So I'm pretty sure she grew up a little bit older, so she couldn't play a kid. So in Halloween 1978, Kylie Richards is in there with Tommy, and she is the kid that Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, is babysitting when Michael Myers comes to the house and they go running off. So what I think is John Carpenter knew the Richards family, and because Kim was older now and probably doing other things like Hello Larry, and the other girl, Kylie, was younger, she could fit the bill to be in there. So Donald Pleasance is connected to Kim Richards, who is connected to Kylie Richards, and I think that's how she got cast in the movie. Anyway, that's my talk about Halloween 78 that I promised, and we'll be right back after this.
Hello, fellow traveler. Are your bones weary from wandering the roads? If so, consider a rest at the Hobbit Hotel. At the Hobbit Hotel, you'll be able to read your runes and study your spells in our lush gardens. And in our Hobbit holes, you'll have every modern convenience, including the fastest Wi-Fi. And you'll be able to have a drink at the Sleeping Dragon if you wish. We're open late. Please choose the Hobbit Hotel. We're located at 2152 Mount Hill Road in Polo. She's here to turn your black thumb green with attitude. Watch The Angry Gardener, Sundays at 4 on SHKE, Channel 96.
Thanks for tuning in to my Halloween 78 and Other Memories Halloween special from the Shaky Subject Matter podcast. I like looking back at the old times, not because things are getting worse, but it's just a time in my life when everybody was still alive, and I really miss some of the people. So I just thought I'd share with you some of my fun memories when I was younger and hope it brings back some memories for you. And enjoy Halloween. I mean, it's the one time everybody can get dressed up and have fun and go to parties and get scared and go to haunted houses and decorate your house without any worrying about all the relatives coming over, getting drunk and knocking over the turkey. So, happy Halloween. I'll see you. I have to go to the Shaky Subject Matter Halloween party. So, I've got my Batman costume on. I'm ready to party. See ya.
For a fun family holiday getaway, well, we have it here at Arnie's Tree Farm. Come walk through our 50 acres of prime pine trees that's sure to bring a smile on Christmas morning. We don't just have pine trees to offer. We have a full selection of wreaths, decorations, and even Grandma's strudel in Maria's gift shop. We even have a petting zoo with Dodge the reindeer. Worried about getting your tree home safe? Don't worry, our manager Sully will make sure your tree is safely tied to your vehicle so you can jingle all the way home and have some hot cocoa while you decorate your tree. Arnie's Tree Farm is located on Pines Road in Pearl, Illinois. So bring your family out to Arnie's Tree Farm and get to the chopping.